You're listening to The Bows Knows, a podcast about QI Roberts Junior Senior High School in Putnam County, Florida. And I'm your host, Mr. Bows, and today I have some athletes in studio to help us talk about what it is to be a student athlete and what it is to play sports for high schools that aren't QI. So, guests, why don't you introduce yourselves to our listeners?
I'm Javen.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Imari.
I'm Hayden.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me. So our podcast starts off with the same three questions. First is, what is your favorite QI story or tradition?
Pep rally, definitely.
Probably the brick in the toilet.
Mine would be the lip dubs or the pep rallies.
Yeah, I think mine's the lip dub as well. I think recently they've been actually kind of cool and well produced.
Very good. Next question. If you could time travel, when would you go and why?
Definitely ancient Greece. Want to see all the cool stuff they had before it blew up.
I would agree around that time. I want to see if the stories are actually close to what they say they are.
Want to meet your heroes?
Yeah.
I would go to college. I want to see what the hype is about, and I want to see how far I'm gonna get.
I'd probably go a timeline like the Dylan and Javen said, maybe more people like Alexander the Great, something like that, because I think that stuff's pretty cool.
Alrighty. Last but not least, quality, integrity, respect. Which one and why?
I said this last time. It's like a trinity knot. Well, you can't have the other. You can't have one without having the other two.
Yeah, that's why I always say integrity for the same reason as you. You can't, if you have integrity, you have quality and respect.
I feel like respect, it goes a long way for different ages, genders, races. It definitely goes a long way.
I agree with that too. I think the respect's one I would pick because it's just something that, if you have it between someone and they have it with you, then it goes a lot way in a relationship or professional or friend wise.
Alrighty, very good. So let's get in and start talking about sports and athletes. So let's start with, what sport or sports do you play, how long, and for which school?
I play for Palaca. I play football, basketball, and I do track and field.
I also play for Palaca, and I do just soccer this year.
I've played for Palaca, and I do cheer and track, and I've done it for my 9th, 10th, and 11th grade years.
Yeah. I've been doing wrestling for Palaca High for 4 years since my 9th grade year, and I've also swam for them since my 10th grade year.
Very cool. So nice wide variety of sports that you can play here. So kind of tell our listeners, share kind of what it's like to play a sport for a school that's not yours.
So the traveling is definitely a problem because you got 20 minutes from the school to PHS or 20 to Interlochen. So there's that, and then for game days you got to check out Ollie, and we already we're filled to the brim with walk. So it's you have to be on top of all your walk and have it done before it's due if you want to stay caught up with the class.
Yeah, I feel like it can be a little scary, beginning it, doing a sport at PHS, while you're at QI, because you can feel alienated, because it's a school you're not used to and around people you don't know specifically. But I feel like after a while you get into the groove and stuff, and you start feeling oh, maybe I am a part of the PHS history or something like that.
For track specifically, it's definitely hard because most of the time you're missing your 4th period through your 7th period, and it's going to be your responsibility personally to stay on track and stay focused with your sport and your schoolwork because it gets hard. And then traveling as well, just buses back to back to back, especially to the away games or away meets that people have. Yeah, no sleep.
For soccer, a lot of the kids are actually from PH or from QI, so you already knew a lot of them. And our coach was also very lenient and even changed the practice starting time from 4:30 to make sure QI was there for us. So they will definitely be understanding and accommodate you if you want to do sports.
Those are all great things to point out. So, do you feel like you miss out on anything by not, all of you play for PHS. So, do you feel like you're missing out on anything because you don't attend PHS as a student?
You're definitely missing the relationships with most of your teams. And so, like, there'll be stuff happening that they're all talking about and you won't know. You have to get someone else to clue you in. But other than that, it's not much to miss.
Either classwork, because most of the kids that we play sports with go to the same school as each other, so they're definitely helping each other out. But with us, we have more advanced work, so we'll definitely have to find a teammate that goes to school here or that is able to help us on the work that we're having trouble with. And practicing, like Dylan said, some coaches will make practice start later for us because we get there late. But my coach, our practice starts at 4, and we basically miss about 30 minutes of practice before, so we don't know what's going on in those 30-minute time frames. So we just show up and get to work. But yeah, that's it.
I think like communication kind of is messed up. Like if we play like sport for PHS, we go to QI because like the coaches for my sports, they teach at like PHS and stuff, and a lot of people on the teams are like go to school there. And so, like, whenever, like, one's sick or, like, one say they can't come to practice, we won't be aware of it, like, because we're not at school there. Or, like, if we need a date for, like, a meet or something like that, it's not like I can, like, go to their classroom and ask them. I had to, like, text them or, like, check Facebook or something like that.
I agree. I think the communication part and just not having classes with your teammates, or most of them, is definitely the most, like, alienation part. But as well, there's also like new apps that they do to keep us communicated with what we need to do. There's some coaches use those.
All right. So you've all kind of talked about different things. So, if you feel like you've already answered it, you don't have to add to it. But what's the hardest part about being just a student athlete in general?
Definitely the workload and having to keep up with it, especially if you have classes that are like required exams if you want your diploma, like global or something like that. You definitely want early in the day or you won't be caught up and you'll fall way behind.
Me personally, I feel like the biggest struggle I have is staying strong mentally and physically, because I'm basically balancing school life, home life, sports life, and work life all in one. And I'm just one person, but there are people that understand what we're going through as student athletes, but there are some people that just makes it seem like we're kind of just overreacting. I
kind of relate with Mari said, that like more with the mental side, because I was feeling a lot like last year and somewhat this year, just like having like to deal with like balance all this stuff, like doing my sport, doing school, like home life, even like when I got a job. It's a lot to balance. And I think it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're able to like to balance it correctly and not like overload like one certain like habit. So I think that's probably like one of the biggest struggles I have with it.
Yeah, I think the time management part is the hardest part, especially if you have a job on top of school and being an athlete. Sometimes you just have to stay up way later on a school night than what you want to do to get the work done.
Yeah, I think that's important, the time management and layering in one thing at a time. I don't know if deciding like, okay, I'm going to be an athlete and get a job all in the same semester is, unless you're ready for it, might be better to add one thing, figure that out, and then add the next thing in.
Yeah, and also the physically part, like, say you're at a meet or a game and you run into somebody who's sick, so you start coughing too. That's messing up. You got to miss school. You got to miss practice. You got to miss work. Now you're home, not able to do anything. Or say you get hurt. You're just walking around school with one leg, one arm. Then you can't even practice. You got to watch everybody else. But yeah, you just got to stay strong both ways and keep it balanced, because if you're too strong physically, you're not going to care about the schoolwork. If you're too strong mentally, you're going to start slacking in your sports. So you got to pay attention.
I think it's kind of a thing too with the sport where it's like, if you're doing a sport and you're balancing all those things as well, you shouldn't always be thinking of the sport while you do it, because that's a problem I had for a little bit, where I'd be like at school or work or my house, and all I'd have in my mind is like my sport, like wrestling or something like that, and it would just get to me sometimes, and it would just make me not happy. I've like strayed away from that now, but it's definitely something if you're doing a sport you need to try to do. Just not like overly think about it all the time.
All right, so here's kind of the ultimate question of the podcast. Is it worth it?
It depends on the person. If you're someone who doesn't really care about it, it's not going to be worth it. If you're someone who struggles with balancing the walk already, it's not worth it. But if you're someone who can stay on top of it and you can find time to be ahead, then it's definitely worth it for you.
I think it's worth it especially if you want to like have a way to like stay in shape and you are actually interested in this specific sport. I think it's worth it. Just know that it's only one piece of your life. It's not gonna matter like 5 years down the line or anything.
Yeah, I can add to that part because I don't know. People in high school feels like that. Well, some people in high school feel like their sport will just take over in their career and they want to go to college for their sport or something. But you actually have to have like a backup plan for that because if you get hurt, then you're done for. So if you have no education, you're not really going to get anywhere. But also, it kind of is worth it because you meet way more people than you'd ever meet just going to school regularly or just working, because you meet people that have the same abilities as you, have different abilities as you, more advanced abilities as you, mentally and physically. So I definitely think it's worth it. Definitely. It will be hard though. So
that's something a lot of athletes I've interviewed before have commented on, is the friends and the people that they meet that they wouldn't have met if they just kind of stayed in the QI circle, if you will. You know, it allowed them to branch out and meet, and not only from, Palatka or Interlochen or Crescent City where they played, but people they competed against. You get to know them, and especially if it's anything like when I was in track and stuff, those team sports where you got like 2 hours between races, you get a lot of time to hang out and talk with people and meet new people. And
that happens with wrestling me a lot too, because like our matches, sometimes we have like 2 hours before we even do a match, and like it'll just be like the team talking to each other and stuff, and that just really like creates relationships with each other. Because like all the people I wrestled with like my first year, and they already gone graduated like in their college, I still like talk to them and like text them sometimes, just catching up, and it's making bonds like that. I think makes it kind of worth it doing these sports too, and like allowing you to grow as a person too, because like when I started, like before I started doing my sports, I was like really like introverted and like not out there, and I started doing my sports, and then I was like more outgoing, more confident in myself. I would say it was really worth it.
Yeah, I feel like the motivators you meet on the way is definitely a big part of your life as well. Right now I feel like I don't have many, but on the road to success while doing a sport and being a high school student is hard, but when you meet those people that actually want you to keep going, adults and children that actually want you to keep going, even though they know that it's hard, they're definitely good people.
I think that's good. All right. So I'm going to skip the question about advice to athletes unless any of you have stuff to add, because you've kind of all talked about what to watch out for. But what would you say to a student that's interested in playing a sport?
Be ready. Like, be prepared. Because you got to maintain that student character and that athlete character.
Would you tell them to do it?
Yeah. I'd say go for it. Risk it all.
You may think it's not going to be a lot, like dust it off, like, oh, I've never had problems with schoolwork before.
Yeah.
But once you get into it, you're going to be bogged down, and you need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, you just got to be ready.
I definitely think with the sport itself, I would definitely say for people interested in doing sports, I would say just go to their practices like for a full like first week, and if you're clicking with it, you're having fun, I would definitely like say keep going with it. But if you're doing it and you're not getting any enjoyment from it, it's like causing you like mental and like physical pain, then I would say just probably just cut that out and maybe do something else.
If you've always wanted to do this like specific sport, I would say go to the tryouts, try it out. But if it's not like what you remember, like what you thought it was gonna be, I wouldn't stay in it if it's gonna hurt or if it's gonna disable you in your other parts of life.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So before we wrap up, when is the next chance any of our listeners might be able to watch you in said sports that you play in?
Tomorrow, basketball game at PHS, 7:30 p.m.
Tomorrow.
So it's tomorrow as we record, listeners, so it would be in your past, unfortunately.
Mine is tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's my big senior night for wrestling, and
Yeah, our senior night is Wednesday for basketball.
I'm really nervous about it, but I think it'll be okay.
My season's already over.
Oh, track season is just now starting.
When's tryouts next Monday?
Today.
Oh,
I can't though because I had true practice.
So, and I don't know, for what I've seen, basketball may go for a little while.
it might.
Thankfully, wrestling's only got like 2 more weeks, and it's finally done with all that.
So, listeners, I had so much fun with our lateral podcast last week. I'm going to end this podcast by seeing if I can't stump my guests. So, how this is going to work is I'm going to read you a scenario. It's a lateral thinking question, meaning it's not a direct answer from the or it's not direct from the question to the answer. You have to think outside the box, as they say. So, and this is everybody can chime in. So, just see what you can do. So, here's the question. Chloe is upset her boyfriend has named his new puppy Chloe. She feels a little jealous of the loving and attention he constantly gives her. The boyfriend, upon realizing the problem, moves a single piece of furniture. Problem solved. How?
Did he move the cage outside?
No, didn't move the cage outside.
You move the beds together?
No.
Did he move the dog's bed into their own bed?
No.
A single piece of furniture. I'm a little stumped.
Chloe is upset. I'll read it one more time, see if it helps you. Chloe is upset that her boyfriend named his new puppy Chloe. She feels a little jealous of the loving and attention he constantly gives her. The boyfriend, upon realizing the problem, moves a single piece of furniture. Problem solved.
Is he giving love and attention to the dog or to her specifically?
Oh. Is the dog that's getting jealous?
Well, so Chloe is upset because the new puppy is
Oh,
Chloe,
never mind,
Oh.
never mind.
and the new puppy is getting the love and attention, and she's jealous.
Okay.
I don't know.
I will tell you, changing the puppy's name wouldn't help.
What?
You change the owner?
No, owner doesn't change.
It's a piece of furniture.
He moved a piece of furniture.
I will say it's not a traditional piece of furniture that you might think of. Like it's not like a chair or a dresser or something like that.
A doggy doll?
Not a doggy door, but you're getting a little closer.
Was he close with the dog part or the door part?
The door part.
The door part, okay.
Rooms?
So not moving rooms around, but there's something in the room.
Did he move like a pillow or something?
No, he said it's like not traditional. Maybe it's like
Not a pillow.
Bed?
a bed?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
You all probably have one of these pieces of furniture in, well, one of you probably has one in your bedroom.
Window?
Not a window.
A piece of
Curtain?
But you're close. Similar material to a window.
Glass.
TV?
Not a TV.
Mirror?
A mirror?
Mirror is the right piece of furniture. Now put the story together.
Named his dog Chloe. That's her name. She doesn't like. He named that, and that it's getting all the attention. Oh, he moved the mirror so she could see herself and get attention. I'm not sure.
He moved the mirror so she sees herself and she's getting attention.
No.
Right idea, wrong direction.
Yeah,
Oh.
no.
The- The puppy sees herself in the mirror and thinks it's another dog
So now she's
getting the love and attention, so
to
she's
herself.
jealous.
Oh.
So he moves the mirror,
Whoa.
and now the dog isn't jealous anymore.
Hmm.
Alrighty, well, thank the 4 of you for playing along and coming on the podcast with me. Listeners, if you like the podcast, subscribe on your favorite podcast player of choice so you don't miss out on future episodes, and please share with your friends. Until next time, excellence in all endeavors.